Hi, today we're going to talk about the distance and midpoint between 2 points. And so here we have two arbitrary points to work with, x1, y1 and x2, y2, and we're going to find both the midpoint and distance. So starting off with the midpoint, we are going to find a point right around here, midpoint, which is going to be kind of the average between these 2 points here. And so how do we find the coordinates of this point? We are going to take the average of the x values, so x1 plus x2 divided by 2. And to find the y value, we're going to take y1 plus y2 divided by 2, also the average of these two values here. And so doing this will get us the average point, or the midpoint, between these two arbitrary points. Next, moving on to the distance between these 2 points. To find the distance, we're basically going to draw a right triangle between our 2 points. You don't have to do this when you're figuring these distances out. It just helps us visualize what's happening. And so, as we can see here, we have a right triangle, and basically what we want to do is find the length of this hypotenuse. So to do this, we need to know the length of this leg here and this leg here. And so we know that the coordinates of this point will have the x value of this point, so x2, comma, y1. And so now we're going to find the length of this leg here and this leg here. So starting off with this leg is going to change only in the x direction. The y value will stay constant. So we know that the length of this side, will be x2 minus x1. Now right here, we see that we only change in the y direction. Our x value stays constant. So we know that the length of this side will be y2 minus y1. And so now, since we know these two values, the lengths of both of our legs on this triangle, we're going to plug these both into our Pythagorean theorem. So x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared equals our hypotenuse length squared. And don't worry if your lengths are negative, because remember, when we square something, it always makes it positive again. So it doesn't really matter if any of your lengths here are negative. And so now, solving for c, we take the square root. And since length is always positive, we're only going to consider the positive square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Another variation of this would also be c equals the square root of x1 minus x2 squared plus the quantity y1 minus y2 squared. They're both the same thing. This is because when you square something, the negatives go away. So anyway, this would be the distance between our 2 points, since it is the hypotenuse here. So that's how you find the distance.